Hi everybody! So today I'm going to be showing you guys my Sherlock Holmes collection, and most of it's just books, but I wanted to show everyone. I love Sherlock, I love the original, I love the BBC, and I love the show Elementary. So I have a little bit of kind of everything in there. So first I'm going to show you the very first Sherlock books I ever picked up, and it was at a local bookstore in the town that I'm living in now. And it's just a Sherlock Holmes, the complete novel and stories, volume 1, and it's the original. They're really small, but and this has The Study in Scarlet, A Sign of 4, Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes, and Return of Sherlock Holmes. And so eventually I will getting around to be reading this, and I think I want to start reading maybe a book or so in between the other books I read, because I read like a lot of fantasy, and sometimes going from one fantasy world to another, so it'd be good to like, so I can work my way through this massive book. But yes, this was the very first Sherlock Holmes book I picked up. Back home in my hometown, I don't live there anymore, but back in my hometown, I still go home and visit my family. They have this little tiny bookstore in the mall, and it's like a secondhand bookstore. They have a lot of older books and stuff. It's called Raven Books in Springfield, Ohio, if anyone's interested. They had a whole bunch of these little, like, they're like, I guess, pocket store editions from, let's see what year these are from. No, they're like really old, 72, but they're really old, and I really love the covers, and I got them for like $2 or $3 each. So here's the first one, and the cover is just absolutely breathtaking. I love like all the different like things if you look into the cover, but this is The Great Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and it even's got some stuff in there, but I just really love the cover, so I did pick it up. The next one I picked up was Sherlock Holmes, The Last Bow, and I really love this cover. It has like a lot of purpley tones to it, and another one I picked up, it was like a totally different, like they were all different styles, and that's really loved. It is The Return of Sherlock Holmes, and it's like a totally different, but anyways, I really loved it. They're all really old, and I just love the different styles. But I have to say this is probably my favorite. Okay, I also have this Sherlock Holmes book, and it is brand new tales of the Great Detective. It's basically like someone else started writing Sherlock Holmes stories. So I think I picked this up at Barnes & Noble's. It was like in the bargain section. So I get a lot of my Sherlock Holmes stuff rather at Book Outlet or at like old bookstores, like half price books, places like that. But I got this one, Book Outlet. It's The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and this is the BBC one, and it's basically like a retelling of, I get like their interpretations like of the show, The Scandal in Bohemian, like all that. So I really like the cover, and that's kind of the reason why I bought it. Okay, so the next books, the next one is not a book, it's a magazine, and it's Life at Sherlock Holmes. It was out not too long ago. I don't even know if they have a date on this. Let me see. But I saw it at the store, and I was like, ooh, I have to get that. It's January 20th, 2016. So yeah, it happened a while ago, but it has like different stuff in it from the different Sherlocks, and I really like the cover, like the second cover. But I had to have it for my collection. So, and it just has like a whole bunch of different stuff in it, and so it's really neat to have. I'm just shoving this all back on the shelf that it was on, because I already technically filmed this video, but I didn't like it, so I'm like refilming it. So anyways, the next couple of books that I have to show you guys are like really cool. So I have this, A Case File of Sherlock Holmes, and I've yet to really got to look at a lot of these because I just got them for like Christmas and stuff. But I did pick this up. I unhauled a whole bunch of my other books, and when I was in half price books, the one I went to really didn't have a whole bunch of books that I was looking for, so I always go to the Sherlock Holmes section, and I saw this book and I was like, I have to buy it. I think it was like $7 or something, but it is a Sherlock Holmes case book. But what really drew me in is that they have these little pockets, and they have like letters and stuff about each case that they do in here, so you can kind of see the back. And so it has like, you can do the cases with him, and you have like all the little evidence. It's so cool. I loved it, and I was like, I have to get it, so I picked it up. The next one I got is the Sherlock Holmes book, and Big Ideas Simply Explained. So it's got all different kinds of stuff in here. I also picked this up at not Second Charles, but Half Price Books, and it was like it was under $10. I know that. On Cheapskate. So yeah, I was really excited about getting that. I haven't really had the chance to look at it yet, but this next thing I didn't even know they made. The Illustrated of Sherlock Holmes. I was like, yeah. Okay, this is a pop-up book. A freaking pop-up book. I was like, I have to have that. A Sherlock Holmes pop-up book. I loved it so much, and I also got this at Half Price Books. Next thing I got is the Sherlock case book, and it kind of goes behind the scenes of the show on BBC. So yes, I really like this. I picked this up at Book Outlet a while back. I don't know if they still have it, but they get Sherlock Holmes stuff on there all the time, so always go check it out, because this book originally is like, it says $14.99, but I don't think that's US. But it was so cool, and I had to buy it, and it just has so much different stuff in it. So yes, go check out Book Outlet. They have great Sherlock Holmes books. Another book that I bought off of Book Outlet is Sherlock Holmes Chronicles, and again, it is like it's got all different kinds of stuff in it about the actors and the cases and the show, and yes. So once again, I picked this up on Book Outlet because originally it's $29.99 in the US and $36.99 in Canada, and that is like way too much to pay for like one book. When you have as many books as I do, you try to go for the cheapest route. So yes. Okay. It is on, I don't know what show. I don't know. Anyways, the show Elementary is on television right now. I think it's going to be in the 6th or 7th season. Anyways, it's about Sherlock Holmes and Joan Watson. Yes, Lucy Liu plays Joan, or John. And they live in New York, and they solve crimes together, of course. But this one is The Ghost Line, and this one is Blood and Ink. These are just like the show, except for it explains a lot more because you're not seeing it. You have to read it. But I really enjoyed it. I have read Blood and Ink. I have not yet to pick up The Ghost Line, but they were great. So I definitely recommend you picking up these. And even watching the TV show is so good. I think I originally watched the BBC Sherlock, and this is back before the 4th season was even out. So I was like, I watched it and I was like, at first I was like kind of confused. I was like, why is there only 3 episodes a season? And I was like, so they're not going to make any more? When was the last time I made this? I started Googling it, and I'm like, I need more Sherlock in my life. So then I started watching Elementary, and by that point, I think the 4th season was already out on Hulu. And so I like binge watched all of it. I was so obsessed, and so I've been watching that. And it's not, they don't play the same Sherlocks, but it's still Sherlock, I guess, if that makes sense. So I really enjoyed it. The next 2 books that I have is Mastermind, How to Think Like Sherlock Holmes, and another How to Think Like Sherlock Holmes. And it says Improve Your Powers of Observation, Memory, and Deduction. And it's kind of the same thing This one is written to, I've only read a few pages when I first bought it. I haven't had really the chance, but it was really cool to kind of go behind the science, and like, even though Sherlock Holmes is a fictional character, you can still, like, you can deduce things. You can look at someone and maybe not know their whole life stories like the way Sherlock Holmes does, but you can look at them and you can deduct, and you can pinpoint kind of stuff like that. The more you work on it, the more that your brain will automatically start doing that. So I really like these books. And then I have another one, and it's a little bit smaller, but this one has like little brain teasers at the end of each chapter to kind of get you thinking. And I like what this book points out is that your brain is a muscle. Like, you know, you need to work it just like you would any other muscle. So how do you exercise your brain? You do mind teasers, and the more you do them and the more you use your brain for stuff like this, the more your mind will turn it into Sherlock Holmes. So the next thing, all my books fell over. The next two books that I have are not Sherlock Holmes books per se, but it is a YA book series that's out now, and I really highly recommend it. It is a Sherlock Holmes novel. Two of them are out so far. The third one's coming out this year, 2018, and the first one is A Study in Scarlet, and the last one is The Last of August, and it is about Charlotte Holmes and Jamie Watson, and they both go to this prep school called Sherringford, and somehow one of the kids in their class dies, and they are both become the prime suspects. So that's what you're following in the first book, and it was so good. I highly recommend it. I listened to it on Audible. I don't know how to say that. And I listened to an audiobook, and I loved it. It was like a little movie playing in my head, and I would listen to it all the time. It was so good, and I highly recommend. You can get this at Target. That's where I picked this one up, and it was even signed. So sometimes you can find signed first editions at Target. So I would definitely pick this out. But read this book, please. If you love Sherlock, read this. It was so good. I loved it. And then the second one is The Last of August, and I can't really tell you much about it because it'll spoil the first one, but it was so good. And like I said, the third one's coming out this year. I'm so excited. I will probably most likely listen to it on an audiobook because I can't say that word that I've been trying to say. Anyways, but they were so good, and I loved them so much. Now, my next two books are something I just got for Christmas. My husband picked them out for me, and they're the mangas. I didn't even know these existed, but they're Sherlock Holmes from BBC mangas, and I'm not gonna lie to you, these are really hard, like really hard for me to read. But basically you read them from back to front, and then like from left to right, but they just have like the best artwork in them. And if you've watched the show over and over like I have, they'll be easier to follow along because you'll know how it happens. But they have like different artwork in them, and you know, the artwork's great. I can't get over like, I loved it. I loved them. And I have read The Study in Pink. The second one is The Blind Baker, and once again you read it from back to front. And they basically follow along with the show. Like, you could literally turn the show on and put your book up there and read it, and it basically is the same thing. So they're both really good. I love the artwork. I love to have them in my collection, and I'm going to continuously buy them if more come out.